Good morning again from Tokyo. This is our last day in Tokyo before heading to Miyajima, and we're going to start the day at breakfast. I just served my food at breakfast. The way it works is you order one dish. I decided to order the French toast, and that comes out from the kitchen, and then you have an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet. The first item I'm going to be trying is the sausage, and these almost look like mini hot dogs. That is a really nice breakfast sausage. It almost reminds me of a cross between a hot dog and a breakfast sausage. I love the outside. It has a really nice snappy exterior, and it tastes pretty good quality. It doesn't taste like anything frozen. The other thing I love about this hotel is they have fresh squeezed orange juice, and this just tastes so much better than box kind. Just so clean and refreshing, and I love the fresh tartness of this. I also got some potatoes, and the way they serve them here is they're almost like small wedge cut french fries. The potatoes are great, they're just deep fried, and I love the crispy exterior. There's little crispy bites of heaven. Another interesting item that they serve here at breakfast that I enjoy is their pasta. Last time they had a sort of creamy and cheesy pasta. This time it's some sort of marinara tomato-y pasta. Wow, that's really interesting. I wasn't expecting it at all. I love the noodles. The penne noodles are really nice and chewy, cooked al dente, perfectly chewy. And the sauce is really interesting. It almost tastes like a marinara sauce, and there's some sort of seafood. I can't quite tell if it's crab or some sort of fish, but it really adds a lot of briny, delicious flavor to this. I haven't had seafood pasta in a long time. I've never had seafood pasta like this, especially not at breakfast, but it's a great addition to the buffet. I also picked up a mini croissant. If you know me well, I'm pretty picky about my croissants. Usually I'm not a big fan of croissants when you get at a breakfast buffet, but this is a really tasty croissant. It's quite buttery, and it also has a decent bit of flakiness. This definitely exceeded my expectations for what I was expecting from this buffet, even though I had it before, because this is my first time trying their pastries, and their croissant's pretty tasty. Surprisingly, I'm really looking forward to the bread. I got a little bit of raisin bread, and I topped it with fresh honeycomb, which I only find at like bougie hotel buffets in the US or bougie all-you-can-eat buffets, so I was really impressed with that. And it comes from Aitama Prefecture, and I also put a little bit of French butter on this as well. That is incredible. I knew this would be one tasty bite, but even exceeded my expectations once again. I love the bread. It's super fresh. The inside is really nice and fluffy. It almost reminds me of a baguette in a sense because I love the shell. It has a really crusty exterior and juicy little plump raisins in it. I love the rich flavor of the butter as well. You definitely notice it's a little bit richer than the butter you would get in the US, probably because it's imported from France. But what makes this bread really special is the honey. You gotta have it with that fresh honeycomb. Some of the best honey I've ever had. It's so rich and intense, and it's really floral in a sense. So I'm not sure what what flowers the bees were pollinating, because their honey just tastes so fresh and pure and fragrant. Our French toast came out, and this one looks pretty incredible. It's almost like a French toast sandwich. 2 slices of French toast drowned in maple syrup, topped with some more butter, and in the middle is some thickly cut grilled bacon of sorts. Oh man, this might be my favorite dish so far. This is almost like chicken and waffles. That's what it sort of reminds me of. This is literally the quintessential and perfect French toast. The outer crust is really nice and crisp and crunchy as you bite into it. The middle is just soft and delicate and really soaks up all that maple syrup like a sponge. It's nice and eggy as well. And then I love the flavor of the bacon because it tastes like it has been torched, but you really get that nice char on it. I just finished up breakfast and I'm back at the room, and I can't believe how cheap it was. It was only $23 a person for all that food I got, and it was so tasty. I'm literally stuffed and I can barely move because I just ate as much as I possibly could because it was such a great deal and so delicious and high quality. That alone almost makes me want to stay at this hotel. Everything so far has been great. I love the bathroom, it's huge, there's so much space. The water in the shower has really nice water pressure, comes out really fast, and it also gets really hot if you want as well. Also, the customer service at this hotel is great as well. Everyone is super friendly and all the front desk people have been extremely helpful. I got some exciting stuff planned for the rest of the day. Tonight I'm going to be eating at this restaurant that is really popular. They're famous for their Gyukatsu, which is deep fried beef, and apparently I've heard their beef is really great quality, and I've literally seen so many different YouTubers go to that same restaurant because it's that popular. This afternoon I have a really cool ice cream place to try out. They specialize in matcha ice cream and they have 7 different ranges from strength, all the way from 1, which is really mild, to 7, which is almost like eating pure matcha. So I'm pretty interested for that experience. I think it's going to be quite intense and quite fancy. Before all that, I'm going to be heading to TeamLabs this morning, which is an interactive art experience. It's kind of hard to explain. It's just like really immersive. You walk through water into all these different art rooms, and it's something you really have to experience in person. I've seen videos of it, but I have a feeling it's going to feel a lot different in person. So let's go. I actually think I can make it there on time. Hopefully we're not late today. Now it's time to ride the Yurakomome, which is my favorite train in Tokyo, so enjoy the scenery. I finally made it to TeamLabs. When you first enter, you watch a video explaining the different rooms as well as the rules. After exiting the locker room, you enter the exhibit by walking through a dark hallway. It eventually leads to a slope with water rushing at your feet, and it's almost like walking up a river, and it's a lot of fun. Thankfully, there's a room afterwards with towels so you can dry off your feet. Then you walk across a room that's basically a giant beanbag, and it's a little hard to walk across, so you end up falling down a couple of times, and it's a lot of fun. Leading to the next room is a mysterious black curtain with light peeking out from the outside. As soon as you step through the curtain, you're just thrust into a room full of lights, and it's such a colorful sight. After that, it was another walk through a dark passageway, and then you transition back into water. This was another magical room. There's projections of fish on the water, as well as flowers, and they were all interactive. Every time you bumped into a projection, it would change into something different, and I think that's a pretty cool technology. The next room was full of these big, colorful orbs, and it made a great place for selfies. The next room consisted of a dark ceiling with projections flying by, and it was simultaneously dizzying, yet transfixing. Next was the garden area, but before you go out there, they provide you with slippers. The final room was their famous flower room. I just finished up here at TeamLabs. It was a pretty interesting experience. However, I would say it was a bit crowded, so definitely give yourself an hour to an hour and a half to check it out, but I think it's definitely worth it. It's a great experience to do at least once. I feel like TeamLabs is something that you have to experience in person. It's a lot different on video just because you don't go through all the water, and I think it's a really interactive thing that's a lot of fun just to go through. Now I'm going to be heading off to lunch in Odaiba, and I'm going to be heading to my favorite yakitori place that I found on my last trip, which is Gonpachi Odaiba. After a short train ride, I was back in a very familiar area. This is the Fuji TV building, and after I had dinner in Gonpachi on my last trip, I saw the light show here, and it was actually quite interesting. This is the entrance to Aqua City, which is a shopping mall, and this is also where Gonpachi is located. Right here on the right is a caricature place, and funny thing is I got a caricature the last time I was here 7 years ago. I just sat down here at Gonpachi and I made a small mistake. I realized when I sat down that they actually don't serve any yakitori for lunch. They only serve the yakitori at dinner. However, I saw outside a sign for their soba, so apparently they must be known for their soba at lunchtime, so that's why I decided to order. I ordered some soba that comes with a little bit of broth and duck breast, and it also comes in a set with a little bit of miso soup on the side as well. However, because they don't have yakitori, that just means I'm gonna have to come back here again at the end of my trip when I end my trip here in Tokyo. They just brought the sides out that come with our set. They came out with the salad and the miso soup, so let's go for a bite of salad. The one thing I'm not super crazy about is the little baby fish they put on top, but I just got a bite without that. Oh wow, this might be the best salad so far I've had on this trip. All the vegetables and lettuce is really crisp. Love the juiciness of it. And the dressing is what makes it really special. It's so fragrant and a little bit spicy because it's a ginger dressing. And I just love the salty, savory soy sauce flavor that's in there. Now for the miso soup, it's filled with little tiny pieces of pork as well as some vegetables. There's a little bit of carrot in here as well as radish. All of the vegetables are super tender and delicate, and there's also little pieces of pork in here. There's just a couple, but I think it's just to add a little bit of extra flavor to the broth. Oh, I love the pork. It tastes like marinated pork belly. I'm surprised it still retains that marinated flavor because it's soaking in the soup, and I love how it just adds a nice richness to it. The perfect complement to the meal. My food came out and the broth smells amazing. I just smell all the onions and the meaty juices that are in there, and there's some nice large pieces of duck breast. So let's try that first. Oh, I love the flavor of that duck. It's really nice and juicy because it just soaks up all that broth, and it's really intensely flavored. You just taste like you're drinking some sort of meat stock, and then I love all the onions in there because there's these big giant pieces of green onions which add so much flavor. But now let's go ahead and grab a bit of our soba, and we're gonna give it a dip in our broth. I love the soba. It's very soft and delicate, and it soaks up all that flavor of the broth again. And the soba itself is slightly refreshing because it's cold and the broth is hot, so I like kind of like the contrast between them. And it's really light, and I also like that it's a little bit healthier for you because there's a lot less carbs in soba because it's made with buckwheat compared to just regular flour. This is a great dish. If you're looking for a nice lunch set, Gonpachi Odaiba is definitely the place to go. I decided to get a caricature for the second time, and I thought it turned out really good this time. I loved how they used watercolor, and I thought they spent a lot more time on it than they did last time. So let me know if you think this looks like me. Another cool thing about Odaiba is they have a replica of the Statue of Liberty. Now I'm going to be heading back deep into the city of Tokyo to the Harajuku area to check out Nanaya Aoyama, which is famous for their 7 different levels of matcha ice cream. And I'm super looking forward to this because I love anything matcha. I just got my ice cream here at Nanaya Aoyama, and I decided to get 3 flavors. I decided to get the number 1 strength, number 4 strength, and number 7, all getting stronger and stronger. I thought I would do that so I can try the most weak, and then the one in the middle, and then the most strong, because number 7 is their most popular flavor. Let's just start off with the number 1. It's getting a bit melty now. Wow. That is so intense. I'm already at level 1 and it still tastes like really high quality matcha, and the flavor is definitely there. The texture ice cream is also super fluffy even though it's gelato. Now for the number 4, which already looks a lot darker. If you can tell, it just has this deep, rich matcha color, and this definitely looks like the average color of matcha ice cream I've had. Ooh, this one definitely tastes a lot more bitter. It tastes really intense, and this is honestly probably how I like my strength. It has just enough sweetness and also an intense, rich matcha flavor. So now let's go for number 7. This one I'm a little scared of because the texture of it is already a lot more icy and sort of clumpy, and I think that's because of all the matcha powder that's in there. I feel like this one might keep me up at night, so hopefully it doesn't, because tomorrow I have to get up really early. Whoa. Wow, that is an intense flavor. I could see why people like it, just because it already makes me feel like I have so much more energy. It's intensely bitter. It almost has a little bit of a gritty powderiness to it. Oh wow, I do enjoy it. You're definitely gonna love this if you like matcha just like me. It just tastes like you're eating a spoonful of matcha powder, but it's not dry. It's just rich and creamy. If you're looking for a more light and creamy, I definitely recommend number 1. If you're looking for an average, just perfect balance of matcha to ice cream ratio that's not overly bitter, go for the number 4. And if you want something really intense that's gonna wake you up and give you a jolt of energy, get the number 7. This place is definitely a must try if you're into matcha. I just love their scheme of ice creams, and I love their variety.
Then it was off to dinner, and to get there we had a ride on Tokyo's most crowded train line. Then it was a walk through Harajuku, and I eventually walked down the famous Takashita Street.
I just got seated here at Gyukatsu Motomura. I got here at 4:40 and now it's 5:10, so it took about half an hour to get seated. But what I do appreciate is when I was in line, they already took my order, so the food should be coming out shortly. And they also decided to light these grills right here as well, and these are flamed, and this is going to help cook our meat once it's fried. First off, I'm just going to try our Gyukatsu because I'm really excited for this, but you're not going to want to eat it raw, because as you can tell, it is completely raw in the middle, so we're gonna cook it on a grill first. Just listen to that sizzle. Alright, this should be ready to eat now. It smells really nice and charred. I'm really looking forward to this bite. It still feels crispy on the outside. This meat is seriously good stuff. I love how thin it is because it cooks quickly, and the meat itself is still really juicy. I overcooked it a bit more than I wanted it to. It's like medium well, but it's still really tender. It almost has the tenderness of low-grade Wagyu, and I love the outside as well. It's really thin, so it's not too heavy, and it's so light and crispy. Let's go ahead and give our miso soup a taste. It comes with a little bit of fried tofu in it. Well, that is some really nice miso soup. I love the flavor of the fried tofu, and the soup itself is also really rich with miso flavor, definitely really intense. Now let's dip it in a little bit of wasabi sauce. I'm interested because this wasabi sauce looks brown, it's not green. Oh wow, medium rare is the way to go. I love my meat like that, and when you cook it like this, it almost has the texture of A5 Wagyu. It just melts. It's just melting in my mouth right now, and I love how juicy it is. It's definitely a lot more juicy, and the wasabi sauce is very mild. This has a nice slight kick and a bit extra savoriness, because I think the meat could use some more salt, and that's where the sauce comes in handy. Also, let's dip our meat in a little bit of grated mountain yam. I've heard this is a good idea because it makes the meat a little bit more refreshing. I really do love how the grated mountain yam goes with it. It's cold, so definitely makes it a little bit more refreshing. And I do love the sliminess. I know sliminess is an acquired texture, but I really think it adds to the meat. And I love that it kind of cuts down some of the rich flavor and it makes it a little bit lighter to eat. This is a great place to try out if you're looking for some nice gyukatsu. I've never had gyukatsu before and this was my first experience, and I was really impressed with their meat quality just because it was so juicy and tender and delicate, and I love the batter as well just because it's paper thin and it's not heavy at all.
Many hours later,
I'm finally back at the hotel, and it was a really long journey back because it was about a 10-minute walk from dinner back to the station, and then the Yamanote line was delayed by 10 minutes, which is really rare because the trains in Japan are almost never delayed, and this time it was due to station maintenance, which I think is pretty interesting. The good news is it's only 7 p.m. and I'm gonna try to get to bed really early tonight because tomorrow we're gonna be hopping on the bullet train or the Shinkansen to take it all the way to Hiroshima before transferring to get to Miyajima Island, where I'm gonna be staying at that really traditional ryokan, and that is gonna be 1 early morning since our Shinkansen train leaves Tokyo Station at 6 a.m. And yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure if you did to give it a like, and also make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning to head to Tokyo Station to catch our bullet train.